You know that feeling when you open your banking app and then immediately close it? Like, you didn't even look at the number. You just felt it. That low-grade anxiety that lives somewhere between your chest and your stomach. The kind that shows up at the grocery store when you're mentally doing math on cereal boxes. Or when a friend mentions they're going on a trip and your brain immediately starts calculating why you can't. That feeling has a name. It's not laziness, it's not irresponsibility. It's what happens when someone never actually showed you how money works. My name is Robert, and I spend way too much time thinking about financial psychology, specifically why intelligent, hardworking people stay stuck in cycles that don't reflect how hard they're actually trying. What I've noticed after years of studying this is that there's this invisible line most people never cross, not because they can't, but because nobody ever told them the line existed. And here's what's wild. Once you see it, everything looks different. The decisions you've been making, the anxiety you've been carrying, the confusion about why some people seem to just figure it out. It all starts making sense, and it starts with understanding something that school genuinely never covered. If you're someone who wants to understand the real mechanics behind building financial stability, instead of just hoping things will eventually sort themselves out, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if it ends up helping you see money differently. All right, let's get into it. Here's the honest reality for most people right now. You're not broke because you're bad with money. You're operating in a mode, call it survival mode or scarcity thinking, where every financial decision is made defensively. You're not asking, how do I build something? You're asking, how do I make it to the end of the month? And those are fundamentally different questions that lead to completely different lives. Think about what that actually feels like day to day. You're checking your account before every purchase. You're avoiding conversations about money because they make you feel behind. You're saying no to things that matter, experiences, opportunities, even relationships, not because you don't want them, but because the math doesn't work. And underneath all of it, there's this quiet assumption that this is just how it is, that financial stress is the baseline, that you'll figure it out eventually, someday, when things calm down. It's like trying to navigate with a map that only shows where you are right now, not where you're going, not the roads between here and there, just this one blinking dot surrounded by fog. And what makes this particularly brutal is that survival mode actively prevents you from doing the things that would get you out of survival mode. When you're stressed about money, research consistently shows your cognitive bandwidth narrows. You make shorter-term decisions. You're less creative, less strategic, more reactive. The psychological weight of financial insecurity isn't just uncomfortable, it's functionally expensive. It costs you thinking capacity you could be using to solve bigger problems. But here's where it gets really interesting, because this isn't a willpower problem. It's not a discipline problem. It's a foundation problem. And foundations can be built. So what does that foundation actually look like? Here's the thing they never teach you. It's not $1 million. It's not even close. Most people have this vague sense that financial security means some enormous number that's essentially unreachable, so they never start. But the actual threshold, the one that your psychology starts to shift in a measurable, meaningful way, is a lot more accessible than you think. It's roughly 3 months of your actual expenses sitting in a liquid, accessible account, not invested, not locked up somewhere, just there. For most people, that's somewhere between $6,000 and $15,000, depending on where they live and how they live. And I know what you might be thinking. That still sounds like a lot. But stay with me, because what happens at that number is genuinely remarkable, and it's not what you'd expect. It's not that you suddenly feel rich. You don't. What changes is the question your brain is asking. Before that threshold, every financial decision is filtered through, can I afford to lose this? After it, and this is the shift, the question becomes, is this the best use of this? That's not a small change. That's a completely different operating system. Conventional wisdom says the goal is to get out of debt, max your 401k, build a budget, and grind towards some distant retirement number. And look, none of that advice is wrong, but it skips the step that makes all of it actually possible. Because you cannot sustainably build anything offensive when you're constantly playing defense. The research on this is pretty clear. Financial stress doesn't just feel bad, it measurably impairs decision-making in the same way sleep deprivation does. You are literally less capable of good financial decisions when you have no buffer. Which means the first job isn't investing, it's not budgeting, it's building a foundation thick enough that your brain can finally exhale. Let me give you a concrete example of what this actually looks like in real life.
Let's say you're working a job you hate. Your boss is the kind of person who emails at 10 p.m. expecting responses. The work is fine, but it's not what you want to be doing. And you've known for 2 years that you should probably move on. But you haven't, because you've got $200 in savings, a credit card that's about 60% maxed, and the idea of being without a paycheck for even a month is genuinely terrifying. So you stay. You comply. You send the 10 p.m. responses. Now, same person, same job, same annoying boss, but you've got 4 months of expenses sitting in a high-yield savings account. Nothing else has changed about the situation, but everything has changed about your position in it. Suddenly, you're not trapped. You're choosing to be there while you look for something better. That is a psychologically different experience in a way that is hard to overstate. You negotiate differently. You set limits differently. You stop people-pleasing out of fear and start making decisions based on what you actually want. And here's what's really wild. You probably perform better. Confidence reads differently. People with options carry themselves differently, and that often leads to the thing you actually wanted, the raise, the promotion, the opportunity, without you having to beg for it. The point isn't the savings account. The point is that having the option means you don't have to use it. And that changes everything. But let's talk about the math, because this is where things get genuinely exciting. Most people assume that building $10,000 in savings takes forever if you're not making a lot of money. And the first milestone does take the longest, not going to sugarcoat that. If you're putting away $500 a month, you're looking at roughly 20 months to hit that initial 3 to 4 month cushion. That's real time. That's real sacrifice. But here's what nobody tells you about the second milestone. Because of how compound growth works, and because of the psychological shift that happens once you have a foundation, the second $10,000 arrives in about 16 months. Same income, same effort, less time. And by the time you're building toward the third milestone, the timeline has collapsed further because you're making better decisions, attracting better opportunities, and your money is starting to generate returns on its own. Your mind will absolutely blow when you actually map this out. The amount that took you nearly 2 years to save the first time takes less than 1.5 years the second time, and it keeps compressing, not because you got lucky, because momentum is real, and because each milestone removes a layer of scarcity thinking that was costing you money without you realizing it. The first $10,000 is the hardest thing you will ever do financially. Every dollar after that gets incrementally easier, not because life gets easier, but because you get strategically better at living it. Now you might be thinking, okay, but what's the biggest threat to actually getting there? Honestly, it's the moment you arrive, or close to it. Because the second you've built up a real financial cushion for the first time, the world and your own brain will conspire to spend it. A new car, a vacation you've been putting off, a house down payment that feels responsible but actually drains the buffer you just spent 2 years building. And look, I get it. You've been grinding. You deserve something. That feeling is completely real and completely valid. But here's the thing they don't tell you. That $10,000 is not a reward. It's the first brick in a structure that's going to hold the rest of your life up. Spending it because you finally have it is like building the foundation of a house and then deciding to throw a party in the hole. The math alone should reframe this. A $10,000 financial cushion that you preserve and eventually invest will, at average historical market returns over 20 years, become somewhere between $40,000 and $60,000. A $500 a month car payment made instead, the average American car payment right now, costs you not just $6,000 a year in cash, it costs you the version of you who could have been making strategic decisions from a position of strength instead of scraping to make payments on something that's losing value every single month. The enemy here isn't the car, it's the cultural story that says you deserve to spend money you've worked hard for on things that feel like markers of success. Car companies didn't invent the $700 monthly payment by accident. They invented it because it moves product. Your retirement account doesn't have a marketing budget. So before you celebrate reaching your milestone, ask yourself what you're actually trading. The foundation doesn't just protect you, it changes who you get to become. And here's what I think is the most underrated part of all of this, the thing nobody talks about when they talk about financial stability. It's the mental bandwidth. When you're operating without a cushion, you are constantly making micro decisions. Generic cereal or name brand? Drive around looking for cheaper parking? Is this expense justified? Can I afford to go to this thing? Those decisions are exhausting. And not because they're hard, but because there are hundreds of them every single day.
The uncomfortable truth about those decisions, they don't really matter. The difference between buying generic and name brand groceries for an entire year is maybe $800 to $1,200. That's real money, but it is not what determines your financial future. What determines your financial future is the big stuff. Whether you negotiate your salary or just accept the first offer. Whether you stay in a mediocre job for 3 extra years out of fear. Whether you understand enough about investing to not panic sell when the market drops 20%. Whether you build something on the side or wait for your employer to decide your income ceiling. Those decisions are worth tens of thousands of dollars. But when your brain is exhausted from calculating cereal prices, you don't have the cognitive energy to make the big ones well. Financial security doesn't just give you money, it gives you your thinking back. And your thinking, applied to the right problems, is worth exponentially more than any savings you'll get from buying generic. Look, 3 to 4 months of expenses saved isn't going to make you rich overnight. That's not the promise. But it is the moment where surviving starts to feel different from choosing. If you can put away $1,000 a month, you're looking at less than 2 years to get there. $500 a month? Closer to 3 years. That's not nothing, but it's also not forever. And what's waiting on the other side of that timeline is a version of you who makes decisions from a completely different place. Not reacting, designing, not surviving, building. The shift isn't really about the money, it's about going from someone who manages emergencies to someone who creates opportunities. And that identity shift, the moment you stop asking, "Can I afford this?" and start asking, "Is this aligned with where I'm going?" That's what school never taught us. That's what this is actually about. Imagine your future self, 5 years from now, looking back at this moment. They either thank you for starting, even imperfectly, even slowly, or they wonder why you kept waiting for the right time that never quite arrived. Start building that foundation today. Not because some person on the internet told you to, because the version of you who gets to live without that chest-tightening anxiety is counting on the decision you make right now. Trust me, they'll thank you for it.